Good morning, everyone. My name was Gaston Corey, but I just had a trip to Korea, so my face may look very different from the picture on the show guide. My name is Daniel Tang. Today I'm going to give you a little bit of update of Huawei's thinking, how to make technology works in a very dynamic world of ultra broadband and internet society. Okay. Earlier on the floor, there was a question about, there are so many new technologies, right? How would a carrier make a decision on when and where to start in terms of deploying new generation of technologies? In Huawei, in Actalucent, in the vendor world, we always come up with new ideas, things like the network. But then we need to look at, how does the business case stands here? I just came back from Far East, so I can share with you some stories there. In China, right now there are more than 500 million broadband subscribers. Internet users, including the fixed broadband and mobile broadband. And every year there is an event called the Bachelor's Festival. Okay. The name is a little bit misleading. It's like the Boxing Day, but it's an online version of the Boxing Day. Okay. Last year, on the Boxing Day of China on the internet, it's November the 11th. Okay. Alibaba, the largest online e-commerce company in China, had a record sales of more than $3 billion in one day. Okay. Because on that day, everyone, instead of forming long queues and big crowds bursting into the shopping malls, they'll go online. There are big promotions, big discounts. So instead of having people bumping into each other in the shopping malls, we have packets, we have cloud computing traffic bumping into each other. So it's a big challenge to the network, the cloud computing infrastructure, and everything on top of that. Right now, because it's only 3 weeks away now for this year. So right now, telcos, operators, online companies, they're all working together to get the network and the cloud computing infrastructure ready for that. So I call this a way of collaboration approach to bring a better user experience to our customers. Because today, broadband is now a critical catalyst for long-term development. In Korea, government are investing into the broadband with subsidies into the operators. In China, we have the Broadband China strategy, and they even have a new policy that every new apartment buildings should have FTTH wired when the apartment was ready for sale. So that saves a lot of money for the operators, right? Because right now, telecom industry is no longer viewed as a cash cow for the government to get money to put into the fiscal budget. It's viewed as a long-term investment. In Europe, we also seen that there's positive progress in terms of the regulation policy that is more friendly to investment. So these are some of the numbers we have. Okay. For example, the company I mentioned, Alibaba, in China, last year, they created more than 18 million jobs. This includes the direct and indirect jobs created in the telco industry, in the broadband industry, in the online e-commerce industry, and also the logistics, because when you put the order through the internet, you still need someone to deliver. Okay. So 18 million new jobs. It's give you an idea. Every year in China, we have new fresh graduates from school, 7 million. Okay. So they created 18 million in 1 year. So it's an amazing catalyst to social development. We also have some other numbers in terms of the boost in productivity, in green energy, and also for innovation. But we're still at the early stage of the exponential growth of the internet, of the broadband traffic. Look at the milestone of the video technology. We still remember back in the 1990s, we were told by a Bell Lab scientist that in our lifetime, we won't be able to see video delivered over copper. I mean, twist pair. But look at what we have today, and we're still at the early stage. We have ultra-high definition is already coming. We also have holographic TV. But the challenge then on the business side is the ecosystem sustainable into the next generation? We already hear some whining in both sides. The telco are saying, we invest huge money to upgrade the network, but we don't get enough profit back to justify the investment. On the other side, we hear the content providers saying that, okay, everything is over the top. The operators should put more investment to boost the user experience over the internet. It's not really a very good mood right now. But it's not a zero-sum game. Let's take a look at the history of the PC industry. Moore's law says every 18 months, the performance of the semiconductor doubles, but the price remains the same. But if without the consumption of the CPU power, then we will see the cost of CPU will decrease 50% every 18 months. The whole industry would have collapsed, but it didn't happen that way. Because Microsoft and other people in the software industry, they are eating up all the CPU powers generated by Intel and the CPU industry. And customers buy into that because adding those two together, we have better usage of the CPU power. We have DOS, we have Windows, we have Office, we have web browsing. So it's the hardware industry enabling the growth. And then the software industry or the content industry is actually driving the growth. Now look at the telco industry. We see the similar logic here. The operators, together with the support of the vendors, we can continuously upgrade the network infrastructure. And then on the content side, we'll continuously see more and more consumption of the bandwidth. But right now, we don't have enough collaboration between the two industries. Right now, it is more or less a sporadic efforts. The content providers are doing it in a way called OTT, over the top, meaning bypass the broadband industry. On the technology side, we have ultra-high definition TV. We have like G.Fast from Huawei and Actilucent. We also have more and more powerful consumer electronic gadgets, but they don't put together. What we see particularly in the video industry is that customers don't really get very high definition video. It is called HD 1080p, but the sharpness of the picture quality is not really in there. Why is that? Because for the OTT players, based on a freemium business model, they have to cater for the requirement of the mainstream market, who don't really have the latest high-speed internet subscription at home. They have to optimize their network and technology and the content quality based on the average. That's why they're delivering mediocre video quality. And then on the telco side, because nobody is willing to subscribe, well, it was too strong, not really nobody, but the mainstream market is not really the early adopters of the ultra-high broadband. Okay. So we see a reluctance in the consumer side to subscribe to higher bandwidth, because even if they do, they won't be able to enjoy the high-quality service. We would suggest that we move into a more sustainable, so-called via the telco ecosystem, where the content providers can proactively upgrade the quality of the content. And then telco side can upgrade the network infrastructure. And then more or less in a try-and-buy approach, push high-quality content to the consumers. It's like with the iPhone and iPad. Once you tried the Retina screen, you will hate the original non-Retina screen. That's why I'm still waiting for the next iPad mini, because iPad mini right now does not support the Retina screen. Once you tried the high-quality service, then you will never be able to leave it. Am I dreaming? No, we already have seen some cases. One possible scenario is something we call the content aggregated B2B model. It means that the first B refers to the content side, second B, telco, and then consumers. This year, BT spent more than £1 billion buying the rugby and soccer, football content rights to deliver those content through the NGA network in UK to create something they call the BT Sport channels. It has been very successful from what I hear, because suddenly subscriber realize that over the NGA, you not only get the high speed on the flyers, on the advertisement, you also really see that you have very high quality pictures and videos. So it's a way to really doing a vertical integration to optimize for the best user experience available with all the different technologies. That's what Steve Jobs did for iPhone, for iPad. Right? Of course, not every operator have £1 billion to invest into the content side. So we can learn from the Google AdWords mechanism. We can have what we call the switchboard business model. You can let the content industry easily plug into your network infrastructure with capability exposure APIs, with SDKs available over the smart devices, so that customers can enjoy what we call a targeted boost of the QE, quality of experience. I can share with you an example which is in China Telecom. They are working with a number of content providers. Here in this case, the content providers can have more paying VIP customers in addition to the freemium customers. And then that extra $5 or $10 are justified by targeted boosting in the network bandwidth side and also in the cloud computing server side. And then this way, we can jointly optimize the user experience for the VIP customers. And that $5 or $10 actually shared between the telco side and the content side. So the key thing here is to make the customer willing to pay for extra value. We need to create extra value so that they can pay for that value. Of course, to enable such new ideas in the business model innovation, we also need the underlying network infrastructure and also the cloud computing infrastructure. Now, on the network side, we already have been working with China Telecom and other operators to define a set of capability exposure framework, including the APIs, including the SDK, so that whoever wants to be part of the game can jump on the wagon. They can easily plug their content cloud computing application infrastructure into the system and push that capability through the SDK to their client on the smart devices. And then we can easily help them to boost the user experience. Of course, right now, this first will be applied to the fixed broadband industry, because for wireless, we still have another challenge, because if you're roaming, if you're moving between the RAN sites, then sometimes it is slightly difficult to keep consistent user experience as needed by the VIP customers. But the idea is, let's work together to collaboratively optimize for user experience, create more value, and then we share the value together inside the ecosystem. I will quote from Peter Drucker that feed the opportunity, starve the problem. Okay. We create more value, then we can build a more healthy ecosystem for the industry, working together with the content side, with the consumer electronics, and of course, inside the broadband industry. By boosting customer experiences together, we can unleash the power of ultra broadband to provide a much more optimized user experience for our customers together. Okay. That's all I have.